A very warm welcome to yet another Kumekucha video. Information and analysis that is very difficult to find anywhere else. I recommend that you subscribe and you hit the bell button so that you receive notifications every time I have a new video. Karibu sana and enjoy. Welcome to part 2. Now, when you look a bit deeper into this whole mysterious murder of a wife in a love triangle, this story takes twists and turns that are bizarre, to say the least. Now, as is typical with cases like this one, Joseph Kori Karue, the husband, and his wife Mary Wambui Kamangara did not start out their married life rich. Multiple sources, including a comment on this channel, seem to suggest that Mary had a very humble beginning. She grew up in Nakuru, in a poverty-stricken family. And her life changed dramatically when she met Kori, her husband. It is not very clear what Kori was doing for a living at the time he met Mary, but he was not rich. Bottom line, they built up the family fortune together, the two of them. And by the time the couple moved together to Kiambu from Nakuru, those who knew them say they had become wealthy. Judy Wangui, on the other hand, used to sell clothes, and she used to stay in a place called Thindigwa. But her fortunes changed dramatically when she met Kori. It was shortly after that meeting that she was moved into the Four Ways Junction apartment, where the rent is about 60,000 shillings a month, if she's paying rent, and those flats, or rather those apartments, go for 12 million Kenyan shillings, if she was bought the apartments. A far cry from her previous life. Now, this is very typical with this Mpangwa Kando business. It is the sad story of many Kenyan wives today. You struggle with a man, build up a good business, build up maybe even a family fortune, and then when you're stable, a third party comes in. A third party who was nowhere to be seen when you're struggling with your husband to build up something. They come into the picture to enjoy the fruits of your many years of labor, so to speak. Now, this is an important background to understand, so as to put into context the fateful events that unfolded on that Saturday, the Saturday when Mary died. Now, there are two kinds of mistresses, or Mpangwa Kandos as we call them in Kenya. One type is very quiet. They lie low. They respect the wife of their sponsor, or the man they're moving around with, the married man they're moving around with. And generally they stay out of sight and out of the way of the man's wife. However, it is very clear that Judy Wangui was a second type. The type that is very visible. The type that is always looking for an opportunity to provoke the wife, to show off on social media. The type that never lose an opportunity to portray themselves as the legitimate wife, the real wife, the woman who is loved. In sharp contrast, to the official ignored wife. It's as if they're in competition. Now, usually in these cases, there'll be a big, huge age difference between the mistress and the wife. However, in this case, the age difference between Wangui and Mary was a mere 3 years, because she was 36 and the late Mary was 39. Kori is 41 years old. Now, Wangui, who is very visible on Facebook under the name Danike Gabriel, has filled her pages with many posts which seem targeted at the wife of the married man she was pushing with. She even posted photographs of them together on holiday in Singapore over Christmas. This is the background that puts a big suspicious question mark over a lot of things that happened on the fateful Saturday that Mary died. Mary was murdered. For instance, they went out to lunch together. And witnesses say they were very friendly to each other. They even took selfies. It was almost like they were celebrating together. Yeah. And this celebration lasted until 5 p.m. in the evening on Saturday. Yeah. They met up at about 10 a.m. So all that time together, having fun together, taking selfies together, eating together. The wife and the mistress, without any shouting match, without any quarrel, just very friendly, like two very good friends. And to complicate matters further, Wangui is a former employee of the family business, so the wife knew her very well. And even if Wangui was not the mistress, it is not very normal for people to be so friendly with former employees. And not only that, according to Mary Kamangara's sister, the wife knew that there was an affair going on. It's only that she did not know how serious it was. And so taking all these facts into consideration, the happy celebration, the restaurant between the wife and the mistress makes absolutely zero sense. It just doesn't make sense. It is more than strange. But let us go now and look in minute detail at the events of that day, starting from 10 a.m. And I can tell you, they're a real eye-opener. And of course, we'll do that immediately after the short upcoming commercial break. Don't go away. It all started a few minutes after 10 a.m. last Saturday, when Wangui arrived at Kori's residence. Now, some sources suggest that Wangui and Kori missed each other. That is, Kori left his house at Garden Estate, going to Wangui's house at Fourways Junction Apartments. I find it very fascinating and indeed sick that most married men, or rather some married men, keep their mistresses close to each other. I guess this is for the convenience of travel and logistics. So that the distance between your wife and mistress's house could be 5 minutes or less than 10 minutes. Anyway, this story that they missed each other does not make sense. That may have happened before the mobile phone came along, before technology reached us where we have reached today. So how do you miss somebody if both of you have a mobile phone? So let us start very early by ruling out that story, which doesn't make sense. So Wangui arrives at the home of the married man he's pushing with, the home where the wife is, her rival. And she's met by the son, Kori's son, who's about 6 years old. And she promises to buy Kori's son pizza. Kids love pizza. And of course, the boy has to run inside the house and ask his mother's permission. And when he does, the mother asks him, "Who is it who wants to buy you pizza?" The reply from the small boy, "Yule auntie wa daddy." Anyway, the wife Mary comes out of the house, greets Wangui warmly, and then Wangui invites the wife to come along. As he buys the boy pizza, they can have lunch with the wife. And they leave together for the Thika Road Mall, for the extended lunch, which started with githeri and moved on to roast meat and continued most of the day. From 10:30 or so until 5. When Wangui, as they parted, invited the wife to come and visit her house. Now the question is, why would Wangui do that? When she knows very well that her house is full of photographs, of this married man. And so they live together, and voila, when they reach the house, there's a shock. At least for the wife. Because slouched on the couch, very relaxed, is her husband. And of course the wife sees the photographs of her husband with Wangui all over the walls of this house. And that is where the gloves came off. And apparently there was a very vicious quarrel and exchange of bitter words late into the night. Now what happened after that is what police now have to establish. But interestingly, Kori was arrested at the scene where the body of his wife was found. And when police asked him what he was doing there, he said that he had seen a post on social media that the body of his wife had been found near the dam. Therefore, he rushed there to see what was happening. Now, interestingly, Kori had early on called the family of his wife to tell them that his wife was missing, that she had been kidnapped. Oh boy. Now, the other thing that happened is that immediately Kori was arrested, the police went with him to Wangui's house. And in Wangui's house, they found blood-stained clothes. And these clothes, of course, have been taken in for DNA tests and examination. Obviously, the objective is to find out whether the blood on the clothes actually matches the blood of the late Mary. And if it does, then the prosecution will have an easy time proving their case. Now, as I was finalizing on this recording, I got word that Mary Kamangara's missing Mercedes-Benz has been found. That should also reveal some interesting clues, because police believe that the late Mary's body was carried in her vehicle. And if indeed their theory is correct, then that car will be full of DNA proof, DNA evidence. The police, of course, have been granted permission to keep the two suspects in custody for 14 days as they complete investigations. And all initial indications, seem to suggest that they will have no problem tying up this case, collecting all the evidence that's required and having all the witness statements. Because it's very interesting, in this particular case, unlike in many murder cases, there are too many witnesses. A crowded restaurant with waiters, we even knew the people who came in because apparently they were regulars. Apartments with the neighbors who had a quarrel going on, for a very long time, late into the night. The fact that the body was found very quickly, after the murder. And also the fact that police were able to establish very quickly the two people who are last seen with her alive. That is the husband and his mistress, who are already in police custody. So in this particular case, unlike in so many other murder trials all over the world, it seems the police will have a very easy time. Investigators will not have too many puzzles to solve. And it would seem they'll also have plenty of evidence to back up their case. And so hopefully there'll be justice for Mary. However, what about the children? In cases like this, the people who suffer most are the children left behind. The boys who have gone through a very traumatizing experience, of discovering that their mother is no longer with them, their father is in police custody. Gosh, it doesn't get worse than this. My thoughts and prayers go out to those vulnerable little children. May God intervene and comfort them and take them through this very trying time. Until next time, this is Kshs, Kumekucha.